Today, I want to help you understand no money down lease options. What is a no money down strategy that works every single time? By the end of this video, you're going to have a step-by-step blueprint on how to leverage lease options to acquire properties with little to no money down. You'll learn how to generate cash flow, build equity, and create win-win situations every time. I love lease options, especially as a strategy for doing with no money down. Have you ever wondered how savvy investors utilize this strategy to create wealth? And what if you could start investing today, even though you don't have a ton of your own money to put into it, or even the credit to start utilizing to get loans on real estate properties? Well, stick around if that is you, because I'm going to dive into this head first by first explaining what a lease option is. Next, I'm going to go over the strategy that is traditionally used for no money down lease options. And finally, I'm going to cover a strategy that I've come up with that is working right now to produce massive cash flow and creating wealth. If you're ready, let's go. So what is a lease option? A lease option is when a seller is looking to sell a home through a seller financing strategy to an end buyer that is going to rent that home for a certain period of time and eventually close on that home at a certain date in the future. On the buyer's side, a lease option is when a buyer is looking to buy a home through a seller financing option where they can rent the home for a certain period of time and at a certain date down the future at a certain price end up closing on that home. So how does all this work? Well, it's very similar to like options in the stock market, right? If you see a stock that you really like and you're like, I would like to own that stock, I want the option to buy it 6 months down the road at this price. And let's say the stock's at $25 and you want to buy it at $30 6 months down the road because you believe it's a stock that's going to go up. So in order to get the ability or the option for you to buy that stock at a certain date down the road, 6 months down the road, you have to pay a price for that. And let's say the price is maybe $1,000. So you pay $1,000, that gives you the right to buy 1,000 contracts of that down the road, and the stock goes up to $40, all of a sudden you have the right to buy it at $30. And even though the market value of that stock's at $40, you just made a killing. However, if the stock goes down, say it goes to $20, and you have the right to buy it at $30, you're not going to exercise that option, right? But you do lose that $1,000 that you put in there that gives you that right. And a lease option on a home is very similar to that, right? A buyer is paying an upfront option price to buy the home at a certain date down the road at a certain price that's agreed upon between buyer and seller. Now, running through a quick scenario there, let's say that there's a home that's for sale for $300,000, but it's not getting a lot of action. You as a buyer could say, listen, I will buy this home for you at $300,000 2 years down the road, but I'm going to rent there for a period of time. And baked within a lease option strategy are components. You do need to pay that lease option up front for the right for you to buy that 2 years down the road at that price. There's a monthly price every single month, and negotiated in that monthly price is a certain percentage of that rent that can be counted towards the down payment, and that accumulates every month until the end of the lease. And then obviously the execution and closing 2 years down the road on a lease option. Now, when it comes to lease option, there are strategies where there is no money down. You don't have to put any money down to engage in this strategy. One of the most common ones when it comes to lease option is something called a sandwich lease option. Essentially, it's an arbitrage model where you, as an investor, you go in and you find a property that you are going to lease option yourself, right? So let's say you find a property that's listed at $300,000 and you say, listen, I know it's $300,000, but I will buy it from you 2 years down the road at $290,000. And let's say that you negotiate that and you get under contract for $290,000 to be able to buy it 2 years down the road. And let's say that they come to you and say, listen, a typical option price is between 2 to 7%. So 2% of $300,000 is $6,000. 7% is going to be $21,000. But let's say you're a shrewd negotiator and you say, listen, I can give you $5,000 for the option to buy that home from you 2 years down the road at $290,000. So you've put $5,000 down, and let's say that that they will rent it for you for $2,000 every single month. You agree upon that, and they're counting $200 a month of that going towards the down payment. So run through that quick scenario. $290,000 2 years from now, you paid them $5,000, and your monthly rent is $2,000. All of a sudden, you're going to go and find somebody else that's going to lease option it from you, and that their option price is $7,000, the purchase price is $310,000, and they're paying $2,200 a month in rent. So there's three ways to make money on a sandwich lease option. One is the option price, and you paid was $5,000, you're charging them $7,000, you instantly make $2,000. The purchase price that you got under contract for is $290,000, you got it under contract for them for $310,000. And let's say the reason you did that is because you're helping them understand that 2 years down the road, this $300,000 home would definitely be worth $310,000. So once it's executed, you make that $20,000. And then obviously the rental price, if you're paying $2,000 a month and they're paying you $2,200 a month, you're making $200 a month during that lease term. That is called a sandwich lease option, where you can make money 3 different ways doing it, and it requires zero money out of your pocket. There's this strategy that I've been utilizing lease options called cash flow flipping. It's a strategy that I've come up with that is actually making me really good cash flow every single month. And at the end of the term, I'm making significant money. And I'm able to do this time and time again. I'm not using any of my own money, and it's not using my credit. I'm using a private money lender, and I'm looking for homes in the Midwest that I'm finding at below $100,000, and I'm negotiating like crazy to be able to find these homes that are 20 to 30% below what the asking price is. And in doing so, I'm turning around and lease optioning them to somebody who is going to buy that from me 2 years down the road. I make money on the monthly payment. I make money on the option. I make money on the purchase price. And if you're interested in fully understanding this amazing strategy that works in any market, in any condition, with little to no money out of your pocket, I want you to click on the link below, Cash Flow Flipping. It'll give you access to my ebook called Cash Flow Flipping that'll walk you step by step exactly how to do this. And it's no obligation, free of charge. Just click on that link. Thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.